So thank you. Now I will give the floor to my colleague Anaïs Frade, who will start the presentation of the call scope. And then Merrick Mashuri will also present you the proposal template and submission tool.
My name is Anaïs, and today I will, with my colleague Merrick, talk more about this new joint international call on nano and advanced technologies for disease prevention, diagnostic, and therapy. So, as it has been said, that call has been launched last week on November 21st. There is 21 funding organization participating across 18 countries that you can see on this map in purple. Please note that 2 countries are still pending, Hungary and Turkey. 3 European regions are also participating to this call, 2 in Belgium and 1 in Spain. The total budget for this call is around 17.7 million euros, and the Joint Call Secretariat will be coordinating this call. It is set up here in French at the French National Research Agency. So Merrick and I will be your main point of contact. If you have any general questions, you can reach out to us at these phone numbers or at this address, NANOTECMEC at agencerecherche.fr. If you use this email address, we will both get the email so you can get an answer quickly to your question. So for today, I will go over the scope of the call, the eligibility criteria, especially how to compose your consortium, and the partner search tool. And then Merrick will go over the proposal template and the online submission tool. So let's start with the scope of the call. The aims of the NANOTECMEC call is first to support translational research projects that combine innovative approaches in the field of nanomedicine, and then to encourage and enable translational collaboration between research teams in academia and in clinical or private R&D sectors. We are strongly encouraging medical doctors to apply as well as small and medium-sized enterprises. So your proposal must cover one of these topics, either regenerative medicine, diagnostic, or nanotherapy. Please note that proposal based on nanoscale naturally occurring processes or structure will be rejected. Your proposal may include, but are not limited to, identification and characterization and validation of biomarkers, early diagnosis, convergence of nanotechnology and stem cell technologies, cell biology applied to nanomedicine, multimodal imaging agents or techniques, standardized procedure for preparation and characterization of drug delivery systems, brain production processes for nanomedical products, nanoparticles for hyperthermia, and regenerative gene or cell therapy using nanotechnologies. So when you apply, you will be asked what category your project falls under according to its technology readiness level. The first category is for innovation applied research project that corresponds to a TRL of 3 to 4. Those are proof of concept projects for innovative application with analytical/experimental research and or implementation and integration of components and tests in laboratory and our animal models. The second category is for projects with high potential of applicability at short/medium term. So those correspond to TRL 5 to 6. Those projects are closer to the market for validation of demonstrated and prototype in a realistic laboratory and are relevant simulated operational field environment. Please note that at the end of the funding period, the project should fall within, but are not limited to, the TRL 3 to 6. But to keep it realistic with the characteristics of these calls, you cannot propose an advancement of more than 2 TRL. So in important points about the studies. The studies of other key enabling technologies is possible, but only in complement or combination with nanotechnologies. For example, micro and nano electronics, advanced material, biotechnology, photonics, advanced manufacturing system, artificial intelligence, or other digital technologies. When it is applicable to your project, you must make use of existing biobanks and existing cohorts. If you are not using them, you must justify why. You must consider in your proposal the potential moderator of effects such as age, sex, gender, ethnic, or other demographic feature or differences. And the use of approaches from precision medicine and personalized medicine is encouraged. The type of studies that are allowed in this code are cellular 3D and patient models. Those are preferred to animal models, obviously, when it's applicable to your project. In vitro studies, in silico studies, and small-scale clinical studies up to phase 2. Other clinical studies are not allowed because it wouldn't really work with the characteristic of this call. Some general important points. The funding period is for a period of 36 months. Your proposal must demonstrate potential health impacts and or economic impact and added value of transnational collaboration, such as share of resources or share of expertise, harmonization of data. Your proposal must clearly promote transnational research and must, with the benefits of each partners, and your proposal must follow and respect the principle of responsible research and innovation. We encourage the involvement of stakeholders and the application of bedside to bedside approach. You will hear more about RRI after this presentation. Ellen Marie will talk more about it. Finally, when you compose your consortium, you should consider the gender balance and balancing the responsibility between genders. And we encourage the participation of early career scientists. Now I will go over some of the eligibility criteria. So the funding modalities depends on your national and regional funding organization. Each applicant will be funded by their respective national or regional funding organization, and they must check their eligibility according to their rules. So you will find this information in the Annex 1 of the call text on page 26. So here is an example for France. You will find the list of the eligibility of the eligibility criteria, and you will also find the contact of your national contact person. So in this example, this is American Eye. We are strongly encouraging you to reach out to your national contact person to make sure you're eligible for this call, as if a partner is not eligible by a funding organization, it could lead to the rejection of the entire proposal. So please reach out to your national contact person and make sure you're eligible. Although a non-eligible partner can still participate, but as a collaborator and on its own funds. The rules you want to pay attention to in the national regional funding organization rules are like what entity are funded. It's academia, clinical, private stakeholders. The type of studies that are funded, preclinical up to phase 2. The maximum funding per partner or coordinator per project. What costs are eligible, and if your organization requires any additional documents to be submitted. And then, once again, if you have any doubt, please reach out to your national or regional contact person. The general rules about how to constitute your consortium So we have 4 categories of people in the consortium. It could be from academia, from clinical public health sector, enterprises or operations stakeholders. But each consortium must include partners from at least 2 of the 3 categories A, B, or C.
You can switch to
The consortium must have a minimum of 3 eligible partners and a maximum of 5 eligible partners. They must come from 3 different countries that are participating to the call, and it should be no more than 2 eligible partners from the same country.
I don't know if you know it.
An exception to this rule is if you have in your consortium a partner that is an eligible partner that is from an underrepresented country, that will allow you to increase the total number of partners. So the underrepresented countries are Latvia, Lithuania, Slovakia, and Turkey. But please note, once again, the participation of Turkey is still pending. So if you have one partner from an underrepresented country, you can have up to 6 partners in your consortium. And if you have 2 partners from an underrepresented country, you can have up to 7 partners in your consortium. A quick note about the collaborators. So collaborators are self-funding partners. They can be either from a non-funding countries, or they can come from they can be from a country participating to the call but not eligible. The condition for them to be part of a consortium, you can have only 2 collaborators maximum in your consortium. They must add clear value to your research project. They must secure their own funding for participating. They must provide a letter of commitment, and they cannot be work package leader. So to summarize the general rules of the composition of the consortium, the smallest consortium possible would be 3 eligible partners from 3 different countries. The biggest consortium would be 7 eligible partners and 2 collaborators. And the eligible partners must come from at least 3 different participant countries, and to be able to be 7 eligible partners, there should be 2 eligible partners from 2 underrepresented countries. Some other rule, the principal investigator can only submit 1 proposal as a project coordinator or 2 proposals as a mere partner. The deadline for the submission of your proposal is January 30th at 4 p.m. Central Europe time, and you must submit them through the online tool called PD Outline. And you must respect the pre-proposal template. Merrick will tell you more about the online submission and proposal template after. On that pre-proposal, though, you will find a checklist for the coordinator. And in order to make sure that your proposal would be eligible to this call, you will have to tick all those boxes. But once again, Merrick will tell you more about that in a few minutes. If you have any question about the general rules, you can join us, the Joint Call Secretariat. So again, the best way to get a quick answer is to send an email to that address, nanotecmec@agencerecherche.fr. Merrick and I will get back to you. Now I'm gonna say a few words about the partner search tool that's been implemented on the Area for Health website. So if you go on the Area for Health website, you will find a tab called Partner Search. When you click on it, you get a description of that tool called Part Finder. And at the bottom of the page, you can click on Partner Search Tool Access. You will arrive on this page with a list of people that are either looking for a partner or looking for a project. You can click on Advanced Filter and sort through the program you're looking at. So here you will find Area for Health, JTC4, NANOTECMEC, and you can find partner or project on its website. So it is a good way of finding a partner.
Thank you, Anaïs. So Merrick will pursue the presentation with a proposal template.
So hi everyone, I'm Merrick and I'm part of the call secretary alongside Anais, and I will be the one helping you through the entire process. So I will describe you the submission process to start with. The different steps of the submission for an application would be to complete the submission tool, which is PT Outline, that I will show you after. Complete the pre-proposal template, that I will guide you through it, and then upload your pre-proposal template on PT Outline. So the pre-proposal template, there is only one joint proposal per consortium. It will be submitted by the coordinator by uploading on the electronic submission system PT Outline. So only one pre-proposal template per consortium. And only the proposal using the official template will be accepted, and all fields have to be completed and respect the formats, which you can see here. I had font size 11 and A4 format. You the pre-proposal template, so you can find it here on the Era for Health website on the NANOTECMEC section. You can download it here as pre-proposal application. Sorry. So here on the first page, you will see the rules as I have said previously. It has to use the proposal format, only one proposal per consortium, and it has to be sent from the coordinator. So here there is a checklist to fill while you're completing your proposal. So first, about the topic, if it's in the aim of the call or if it meets the topics of this call. The composition of your consortium, if you indeed have partners from 3 different countries, and everything that Anais told you about the eligibility. So first of all, you have to fill the general information about your project. So the title, the acronym, and the duration of the project, the total requested budget, and also the total project cost, which includes in-kinds. And those numbers should be identical to the one field on the PT Outline website that I will present just after. Also, about your technology readiness level, the TLRs, please indicate the TLR at the start of the project. And so to help you here, you have the description of the different levels, and also the TLR that are expected at the end of the project. Then be sure to check at least one of the topics: regenerative medicine, diagnostic, or nanotherapy. It can be 1, 2, or 3 categories here. The type of project, innovation applied research project, or project with high potential of application at short or medium term. Add some keywords and an abstract with maximum 2,000 characters, because on the PT Outline website, you will have the same length for an abstract. Following this, the composition of the consortium. So first of all, the information about the coordinator, and then about the research partners, please do not include the coordinator in this table. So you can go up to 5 members, but it can be 6 or 7 if you if one of your partner is from underrepresented country like Latvia, Lithuania, Slovakia, or Turkey, but it's still pending for this one. And also, if you have collaborators that do not ask for fundings, but they will have to add a letter of commitment and describe how they are meaningful to the project. I will shorten my presentation so as it will be easier for later on. So yeah, you have the project description, describes the background, the current state of the art, the knowledge gap, and different implementation your work can be done and that, and highlight your previous work. Describe the aims of your project and which partners will be responsible for it, so relevance of your code and your work plan. Divided in different work packages that you will fill in this table after, and include which partner will be working on, and as in per month, person month for the different partners. Add a diagram of the timeline you think your project will work on, the expected value of your project, and also a part with the responsible research and innovation and other cross-cutting issues that will be described by our colleagues Hélène Marie later on. Then the involvement of stakeholders, and if it's the case for the project of potential of application at short or medium term, what will be the expected time for market and transfer to patients to our clinics. And also know that there is an ethical consideration to see if the proposal complies with ethical principles. So here it's you just have to check a box, but know that later on the process you will have to detail a bit more how ethically involved your project is, and then for the project that will be selected, there will be ethical boards that will review your project. You can add your references, scientific justification of your budget, and fill this table with for the different partners, the budget they are asking for personal, consumable, equipment, subcontracting, or other direct costs and overhead. For the subcontracting and other direct costs, note that depending on what it is used for, it may not be eligible in all countries. So check with your funding agencies to see if it meets the proper criteria. Sorry. And please check that the information that are in this table are consistent with what you will enter on PT outline. And then at the end, add a brief resume, a brief CV for each principal investigator. There is only one principal investigator.
So we have again this small problem. Yeah, so we are really at the end of this full proposal template. So here you need to add one brief CV for each principal investigator, but really only for one single principal investigator. co-PI are really not accepted, so please don't include more CVs. Also, the project collaborators. So we are still in the in the project collaborator, Merrick. Yes, the two. Can you scroll down to project collaborators? Thank you.
Oh yes, collaborator not applying for fundings will be registered here and have to provide a letter of commitment that has to be signed by the director of the institute and not by the researcher himself to describe like the resources he has and how it is important for the project. And then every partners or collaborators will have to sign at the end of the document and check the boxes. I declare my willingness to cooperate with the research consortium and to declare that you do not receive other public funds to perform the task described in this application. So if everything is good on the proposal template, or if you have questions, do not hesitate to ask in the chat or send an email at NANOTECMEC at agencerecherche.fr. I will, with Anaïs, be answering to you. Now, I will talk about PT Outline, which is a submission platform. You will find the link on the call text on the website, but you can also find it here. You have to create an account and then log into it. You will see on the first page like the general rules to fill the application. You can find the call text here if you don't have it already. And then have to, on the left here, you can see the different sections to be filled, and you will have to go through one by one. So some questions about privacy and your data saved, basically. So, and then the general information. Well, you enter roughly the same information as in the pre-proposal template, project acronym, project title, duration, which categories in nanomedicine areas it corresponds, and so on. Note that there is a part here to add a message defining the project that can be diffused on the communication channels. And then you add the information about the project coordinators, the location of the organization, the name, what type of entity it is, localization, and the name of the department of the partner, its location, and all of the information alongside with it. Then information about the project coordinator, title, name, nationality, and email, is PI career stage, top grade researcher, senior researcher, recognized researcher, or first stage researcher. Also, his role within the laboratory or the organization, and a PI identifier type 1 described here. And then if you want to disclose any of this information on the Aerofoil's website. From all of this part, like you have some requested part to be filled. Once it's done, you can at the end save this part and continue later on if you have some information missing. For example, the financial plan will describe how the budget you request for personal, consumable, equipment, subcontracting, and all the direct costs and the overhead. Those parts you can add it later on if you don't have it immediately. And then you can save and come back later. If we go back on top, then you can fill for the different project partners. It will be the same information you have to fill, and same at the end. You can save it when you fill every requested part. And after that, on top here, that you don't see at the beginning, you will have the different project partners that you entered. And at the end, you will have the project description section where you can also download the pre-proposal template and also upload your completed pre-proposal template and save it. And at the end, you have a final check and submission. You can download a preview of all of the information you entered on the website. You can see here the requested funding, like the total you entered, and verify submission. And once you click this last button, it is saved and it can be modified again. And so that's it for PT outline. And so as you can see, it's quite long to fill every field and to have all of the information. So please don't wait until the last minute to look at it and complete it. And so to finish, what will be next? On December 7th, there will be a Era for Health matchmaking event where you can come and find other researchers that want to apply to the NANOTECMEC call, and you can complete your consortium if it's not the case, discuss with other people about this topic, and find partners if it's necessary. The deadline for the pre-proposal submission is January 30th, and it won't be after. We won't accept any proposal after that. On April 23rd, we will have the result of the pre-proposal assessment, and we'll invite you to send the full proposal, which has a deadline on June 13th. Rebuttal stage will be staged between August 23rd and September 3rd, 2024, and we'll communicate you the funding decision mid-October 2024 with an expected project start date around December 2024 or May 2025. So thank you for listening to me, and I will stop sharing now, but don't hesitate if you have any question on the presentation, on the application form, or PT outline on my side.
Thank you very much, Merrick. I just maybe would like to come back to the matchmaking event. So this matchmaking event is co-organized by ATPN, so the European Technology Platform on Nanomedicine, sorry. And as you project on the slide, so it's necessary to register, and so before the December 3rd. It will not be like this info day where we send the links until the last minute. This needs really to be well organized. So please register before. And sorry for that, but we will not be able to add some slot, especially that we need to maybe also to limit the numbers of participants. So please register quite fast. And to have a nice transition, I will give the floor to Alexandre Caldi, which is the Secretariat of ETPN.
Martin, thanks to all. We've all encountered this kind of technical complexities. At the end, who cares? I mean, we have the information. We will have, I guess, a nice question and answer session now. Just a word. Thanks for introducing the matchmaking event. It's really a pleasure for us to organize this in cooperation, in a full co-organization with ERA4Health. And just to give you more will to register, it will be a very interactive event where you will be able to ask questions indeed, but the core part will be that people will come on stage, on virtual stage, to express their ID, maybe sometimes their request of extra partners. And then you will be able to have your own breakout room to have, let's say, more private discussions or more in-depth discussion. We are quite aware about the importance of these open discussions before drafting your proposal. So please register. And more importantly, I will put the links once again for registration, but you can scan also the QR code that I can share. But more importantly, also answer the preparation form, because registration is passive participation. We need active participation. And in this form, you will have access to possibility of expressing the kind of proposal you would like, the kind of partners you're looking, and it will totally change the impact of this matchmaking event. So thanks again, Martin. Looking forward. You can register today, and in any case, you can express your will to participate before December 3rd in the preparation form. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Alexandre. We may not go for additional questions at the moment. We will do the Q&A session really at the end. I think I would like to welcome on the floor Ellen Marie Forsberg, who is a research professor and the managing director of Norsus Norwegian Institute for Sustainability Research. She has 20 years of experience in research ethics and responsible research and innovation. She led large national and European research projects in this field, and she's also an expert nationally and internationally recognized. And she has already worked in several initiatives like our initiatives. So Hélène, welcome and thank you for being here, and the floor is yours.
Thank you. You can see my slides and hear me?
Everything is fine, sound and visual.
Perfect, thank you. Yes, I'm here to say a little bit more about responsible research and innovation in this call. I usually work together with Robert Smith from the University of Edinburgh on these issues, so I include his name too on this presentation. Responsible research and innovation is about doing the right science right. And it's included here in this AirNet and also in other AirNet programs and other funding programs, because funders believe it's important to make sure that taxpayers' money goes to research and innovation that actually benefits society and does no significant harm. And of course, you are in the health research sector, so you know a lot about this. RI involves engagement of publics and societal stakeholders, because science communities alone should not decide what is good for society or what is acceptable harm. So this is about the social responsibility of science, and that involves reflecting on the directions of research being conducted and the potential directions that it may go into, who would benefit and who might experience new risks, and how the potential social, environmental, and ethical issues can be considered throughout the whole science and innovation process. And RRI is an approach that offers tools and frameworks to think about these issues and make sure that scientists don't lose sight of the context in which they do science and innovation. I rather like the definition that was given by the European Commission in Horizon 2020 of responsible research and innovation, where they say that it's an approach that anticipates and assesses potential implications and societal expectations with regard to research and innovation, with the aim to foster the design of inclusive and sustainable research and innovation. But to put it in a more bullet points, we could say that RI is about, in an inclusive and deliberative way, to address societal needs, avoid undesirable side effects, integrating responsibility into science and innovation practices, engaging with stakeholders or the public, but still not outsourcing responsibility to others, but engaging. And we are talking about responsibility related to social, environmental, ethical, political, or cultural issues. And this formulation you might recognize also from texts related to the program. So in Area for Health, we are taking an approach that has been quite common to several funding programs. And it started out in the Engineering and Physical Science Research Council in the UK, where they developed what they called Framework for Responsible Innovation. We often talk about the area framework or the AIR framework. So that means that all research and innovation funded should be anticipatory, it should be reflective, it should engage, and it should act or be responsive. And I will say more about what that means in practice. So in this call, there is an ROI requirement that you have heard several times now. It says proposals should follow the principles of ROI. All consortia should demonstrate a commitment for investigating and addressing social, ethical, political, environmental, or cultural dimensions of the proposed research. The proposal template further elaborates on this and how ROI dimensions can be approached. And in this program, we have developed more concrete ROI guidelines. And we have, Rob and I have been involved, and several from the funders and the research communities relevant to Area for Health have been involved in discussing the content of these guidelines. So we did that earlier this year, and you can find the guidelines now published on the internet, on the Area for Health page. But I will say a little bit about what it says. But for the whole thing, you should have a look at the guidelines. So here you recognize the AIR approach again. So here it says more about what these 4 dimensions or principles are about. So anticipation is about reflecting on future desirable or undesirable effects of your work. What can you know about, and what are the potential effects? Who will benefit from it and who might not? Can decisions be taken already now in the project about which will help ensure we get the good effects and minimize the bad? Inclusion, that's about reflecting about whose voices or whose knowledge are shaping the research project. So, of course, you're used to working with patient organizations and other users in the health system, and they should also be involved in improving the quality of innovations. So this is about two-way exchange of information. Co-production is also a word we often use. Reflection is about reflecting on value choices or assumptions in the research. Would everyone agree with your goals? Are there values that are maybe not respected or are in opposition to the values that inform your project? Can you reflect on what value choices you will need to do and the effects of that in your research? Responsiveness is about being willing to change course. If you learn something throughout the project, you engage with stakeholders perhaps, and you get some new perspectives, or you find consequences during the research that make you think that you should do something, you should change the trajectory that you had anticipated. So this is about being willing to and able to change while you're doing the research. So how should you include RI in your project? And it's important to stress that RI must be targeted to the research that is being conducted. There are different kinds of research projects and then different approaches to RI that would fit. So for instance, foundational exploratory research will require maybe a more exploratory approach, for instance, using scenarios, than applied high TRL research, where you can be very close already to the users. And the disruptive path-breaking research may require a more substantive approach to RI than more incremental research. So there's no one size fits all. But we have some practical guidance for you. When developing your proposal, you should think about and also describe who will benefit from your project, who may experience new risks, and is that an acceptable division of benefits and burdens? Have you identified the relevant stakeholders? Have you considered public engagement activities in your project? Have you created some good deliberative spaces for your project team and also with stakeholders or the public to reflect? Have you considered adapting your choice of research methods related to ethical issues that you identify? Have you thought about issues like gender and diversity or equity? Have you shown how the project satisfy requirements for patient and production safety and efficiency? And also, have you considered and evaluated environmental impacts or sustainability impacts? And as I said, more detailed advice is given in the RI guidelines. So, but in any case, you should treat RI as an integrated part of your project and not something that can be outsourced to a communication work package and not really affect the science of the project. Develop a shared understanding in the consortium about the project's RI aspects as early as possible. And ideally when you make the proposal, but even also if you get the project from the very beginning. Develop scientific and RI components in tandem. This will be very important, for instance, to consider patient input to the project throughout the whole project period. And to be convincing to the evaluators, you have to make sure that you adequately resource RI. It takes time, effort, and expertise, and money. So you should have milestones, shared tasks, and budgets to RI, and of course in proportion to the kind of topics, the RI topics that are relevant for your project. And depending on the projects, you could have a separate work package on ethical issues, for instance. Maybe it's sufficient just to have societal stakeholders in your advisory group. Maybe you should organize some panels, workshops with societal stakeholders, etc. I will show you also some web pages where you can find additional resources to describe this better. RI will be evaluated in Area for Health. So Area for Health requires that all proposals explain how their projects demonstrate a commitment to investigating these kinds of issues. Integration of RI should lead to an improved understanding and awareness of benefits and risks and uncertainties. And it does not detract from the overall scoring, but it contributes to it. So here you can score extra points. Proposals that aim to advance RI dimensions with new analysis or methodologies will be rewarded. So here is the bullet points related to the excellence, impact, and implementation evaluation of ROI. Is the ROI approach proportionate to the content of the project? Does it extend across the lifespan? Are there clear deliverables, as I just mentioned? Are there clear opportunities for the ROI work to shape what is done scientifically? Does it help align the project's research better to the needs and values of society? Is there appropriate expertise? Is it resourced? Is it clearly organized? And also regarding who's doing the work and what they will do. So yeah, here you can see some extra resources. You can also find these links in the guidelines. So there are many ways to prepare a good ROI part of a proposal, and there are many ways to also do ROI in project, and you can get inspiration. So many thanks. That was it for me.
Thank you very much, Helen Marie. I just would like to add that you can find the RI guidelines made by ERA for Health in the call text just before the Annex 1, so that can be also useful. I will now make the last presentation of the day before the Q&A sessions. And it's about evaluation criteria. So for the NANOTECMEC call, there are 3 evaluation criteria: excellence, impact, quality, and efficiency of the implementation. And these evaluation criteria, which are now very well known since at least Horizon Europe, 2020, sorry, they are divided by sub-criteria. And I'm going to go through the different sub-criteria. So first, the excellence. So we have as sub-criteria scientific quality of the proposal. So significance of the research questions should be presented, the clarity and relevance of the objective, credibility of the proposal approach and methodology, and expected progress beyond the state of the art and clear demonstration of innovation potential. So for the NANOTECMEC, it's really important to show the nano value of a proposed approach compared to other approaches like antibodies, gels, natural vesicles. And also, if your proposal involves some kits, it will be also important to show the value of the kits in combination with the nano approach. And for example, nanotechnology allows to design to present to improve and often novel physical, chemical, and or biological property, and this for different applications, as for example the early detections and the prevention of disease, the significantly improved diagnosis and treatment and follow-up of disease. There is still one point on this sub-criterion, which is the quality of the project consortium. So for this sub-criteria, it's important to demonstrate, if it's possible, the previous collaborative efforts, and also to show the benefit of working together, but also the unique contribution of each partner. And gender balance is important. And also young and senior researcher can be also important. So diversity in this consortium are quite important. The second sub-criteria is novelty and ambitions. So it's important to have a credible roadmap to show how the result of a proposal will be set in a clinical environment. So it's important to think about it quite in advance. The second evaluation criteria is impact. And for this first sub-criteria, it's important to details on the medical need and societal impacts and the costs. Also to describe patterns, documented experience in translational research, as for example at the PI level, but also in addition to institutions. I think someone doesn't have his microphone mute, please. Double check if you mute it. So it's also important to involve industry. So either as partner, if this industry is eligible for funding by one funding organization, or otherwise in collaborators, or it can be also part of the advisory board from your project. It's also important to I'm really sorry, but there is really large echo.
Paulina, is you that is open the microphone, please?
Thank you very much. Also, it's important to include the inclusion of clinical scientists or experts, as mentioned previously, Ellen Marie. Then the second sub-criterion of impact is the add value of a transnational collaboration. Why this project should be made at the transnational level and not at the national level. So a few aspects are for sure the sharing of resources and harmonizing data that we could highlight. And this also includes that it's really important in your project that you use existing data or human biological material rather than producing new material to avoid to duplicate the resources. And also it's really important to have a consortium which is complementary, so that everyone has a specific expertise and that you avoid redundancy. Then for the project with high potential of applicability at short, medium term, it's really important also to have some good plan for the solution can reach the markets. So to have some plan for regulatory approval, for patenting, for clinical testing, also to have a business model and especially be aware about the already existing patents and the competitors. And also how your solution will be scaled up. Then, so this is also the participation and engagement with end users. So yes, engagement and end users in the research process from conception of a study to implementation and dissemination. So not only for dissemination, it's really important to include them from the conceptions. And end user can participate as partner, as collaborator, or also as a part of an advisory board. And there is also a fifth sub-criterion for impact, which is the effectiveness of a proposed measure to exploit and disseminate the project's result. But this will be evaluated only in the full proposal, not at the pre-proposal level. The last evaluation criteria, the quality and efficiency of implementation plan. So it's really important to clearly show the unmet medical need and to have an approach bedside, bedside, and to well describe the main ID and technology readiness level and the contribution to solution for patients. So you should be ambitious, but also you should not be over ambitious. This is a 2 years project and your research program should really fit in this time. And if you have some preliminary results, that will be really important to convince the reviewers. So please describe them in your proposal. The second one is coherence and effectiveness of a work plan. So here you should really clearly set the aim, the appropriate numbers according to the size of the consortiums, clearly present the work package as connecting to them, to the aim, sorry, specify work package leader and structure, and specify role of each partner in the work package. And it's really important that everything is well connected, that we shouldn't have the feeling when we read the project that is finally 3 partners which are running 3 projects in parallel. The quality and efficiency of implementation as a third sub-criterion, so the use of existing biobanks and existing cohorts. If you want to generate new data or new biological material, it will be really well justified and prove that there is no data or no existing materials already available. And appropriateness of the management structure and procedure is really important to foresee pitfalls of your research program and also mitigations. And for the full proposal, we will have 2 additional sub-criterion, which will be adequacy of a budget, sustainability of a research capacity initiated by the project. So here, co-funding always necessary or desirable is, for example, the salary from institution, partial coverage of consumer or intramural funding. And also, if you manage to raise co-funding from industrial partner, that will be really helpful for the follow-up of this research projects. So thank you very much for your attention. So this leads to the end of our presentation. And we are going to answer to questions. Please be careful if you unmute your microphone to mute it again. That's really important for the quality of this session for everyone. So I can see also that you already asked a lot of questions of the chat, and Anais and Merrick already replied to you. Is there some question left that we could reply on live?
Yes, one of the questions from Patricia: has any impact in the final evaluation of the proposal, the CV of the principal investigator?
Well, of course, the CV that you are going to present should prove that you are able to make the work presented in the task. I think that's the major importance. Alexandre, you want the floor back?
Thank you, Martin. Yeah, I have some questions that have been asked by members. Some are more general and some are more technical. Maybe let's start by the more precise one. Hyperthermia is quoted in the call text as a possible mode of action, notably for therapy. Is it accessible for other activable nanoparticles like activable by ultrasound, X-ray or similar techniques? Is it in the scope of this call, or it must go through hyperthermia only? I mean, yeah, what is it open or not?
The example that you mentioned here is really example which are mentioned in the call text, so this is not limited to this example. And after I cannot say that this is fine, this is within the scope of the call or not, will be of the judgment of the evaluators.
Okay, a second quick question is about microfluidics. It's not directly quoted, I guess, but for some nano diagnostic, even if nanomaterial per se are not involved, they are normally considered in the family of nanomedicine. So would you consider a microfluidics technology eligible?
It's the same reply than before. That will be up to the evaluators. I mean, I cannot answer for them.
Okay. About the involvement of medical doctors and clinicians, would you consider some efficient way to connect with them? Because sometimes they're considered more complex to get in touch with. Is there any advice that you would be able to give on that aspect? Because they are really encouraged to participate. It's a strong aspect of the proposals.
So I think once is maybe to register for the ETPN era for health matchmaking event. Hopefully that some of them will come. Otherwise, maybe if Hélène Marie is still present, maybe she has some good advice to connect with some stakeholder as clinician.
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Yeah, my question was quite simple. In fact, thank you for that. It's just like, do you have any advice on how to get connected more easily or to attract clinicians, healthcare provider, hospitals in the proposal? Because sometimes they are considered stakeholders that are more complex to know, to get in touch with, to attract in proposals.
How to do it in practice? Yeah, well, I guess it would depend a lot on the country and the cultures the different hospitals have for engaging with research communities outside of the hospital itself. So I suppose I would try to identify not to approach the top level, but rather identify the communities within the hospitals that work on the topics that are close to your proposed research, and then identify individuals there to connect with directly.
There's no yellow pages available.
No, and I think it depends, it varies across the countries how that works, so it's hard to give a general advice, I think. But in my opinion, personal relations will be important.
Martin, can I continue with some quick questions, or do you want to leave the floor to other people right now? I'm all right.
Yeah, well, you can go on. We have still half an hour, so it should be okay.
Fantastic. So regarding the still on the scientific topics, I would say, are there some let's say so-called excluded therapeutic areas, some kind of disease that has low chance to be funded in this specific call for project?
No, there's no exclusion on specific disease.
Okay, fantastic. Also, yes, on the continuity of project, would you advise or not to try to continue the funding of previous EuroNanomed projects through NANOTECMEC or not? And also maybe to open the questions, would you advise to try to continue some successful nanotechnology EU-funded projects within the scope of this call?
So I do not see any problems to go on such a project within this call, but you should be aware that this will be a new competitions, and it's not because you receive some funds under the frame of NanoTechMec that your project will succeed in NANOTECMEC. And also same for the European project, but I think the consortium will be smaller in NANOTECMEC than maybe could have been in the European project. So unfortunately, you may lose some partner, or maybe some of them should be collaborators, or maybe only part of advisory board if they don't really have task.
Thanks a lot. Maybe for Merrick, you probably told that, but I'm sorry, I'm not sure. What is the total patch limit for the pre-proposal submission? Because there's some advice. There's some advice on the average pages that you can have. Is there a strict limit at the end?
I'm sorry, I guess my connection isn't that great. Can you repeat again, please?
Yeah, simple. Is there a page limit to a global page limit to the pre-proposal?
No, there isn't like a total page limit. On some section there is like a page limit for the work plan, for example, RRIs. So try not to go above those limits. Let's say it if everything else is filled, it's okay. But if the maximum limit is 1 page and you write 2 pages, it won't be taken like seriously.
Okay, the next one, thank you. Next one is on budgeting. Do you have any recommendation to avoid confusion with other Horizon Europe habits in budget? By this, I mean, do you want to highlight some differences in overheads and reimbursements of indirect costs, for instance? Am I understanding that they are not standard, they depend on the funding agencies?
Definitely, yes. The eligible costs are really different from each funding organization. So the partner should look at the Annex 1 or the funding organization for who is eligible. And then if he doesn't really understand everyone, he should contact the national contact point, and we'll have clarification on that.
Okay, thanks a lot. At this stage, I might have other questions that are more general, but I want to leave the space for other people. Thank you very much for the questions.
Thank you.
For the answers.
That's the next question. We got a question from Evelyn. Can you please expand on the need for crowdfunding from industry? Is this to cover activities after the project or during project? How it is demonstrated?
So you gave all the replies in your questions, so it can be at any time, but it's really maybe more important when you have a project of high TRL and that you really want to scale up your project or even to bring the solution to market. So it's easier if this industry is already a partner in your consortium, and then later on he may invest in your in the follow-up of a project. Well, this is an example, but every plan is possible.
Then Esther is asking, what do you understand as an earlier career scientist?
So the early career scientists are more PhD, postdoc. So in Era for Health, we have an activity to build the capacity, and one of the activity will be to create early careers network based on the early career scientists participating to the fund project. So it's also important to plan some budget for this activity. This is also highlighted in the pre-proposal template and in the call text.
The next question from Anna. In the list of potential topics of the proposal is mentioned cell biology applied to nanomedicine. What does it mean? Same for consistency and reproducibility studies. Could you please elaborate on what is meant by this example?
Well, cell biology applied to nanomedicine, I should confess that this comes from our expert, which either built the agenda strategic, not our research agenda, or to help us to build the call text. That's really at your interpretation. Sorry for that. And for consistency and reproducibility studies, really to be sure that the science that you made is really reproducible by other laboratory, and the results are consistent. That you know, we always have some trouble when sometimes you take some results from papers and try to reproduce them. So this is why these lines are there.
The next question about the pending countries. When might have the information about the pending countries' participation or not to this call?
Can I come in from Hungary?
Yes, Clara, please.
Thank you very much. It is indeed, we haven't signed the memorandum of understanding yet, but it is in progress. So I hope in the next couple of days it will be clarified, and Hungary will not be pending anymore. So Hungarian applicants can count on that. So we will be part. Unfortunately, it takes longer, but we will be part of the call.
Yes, so Clara Orvat is the Hungarian national contact point. So when if you have any other additional question regarding Hungarian participation, please contact her.
Thank you.
For Turkey, this is the same situation, and we hope in the coming days that the situation will be clarified.
Okay, the next question is how to evaluate the TRL for diagnostic project with a strong bioinformating component.
We have a definition of TRL in, I don't remember, it's on PT outline on the pre-proposal template. I mean, yes, in pre-proposal template, you make your best to evaluate it, or maybe you can maybe ask some advice to some other researcher, because I mean, we are not scientific in this field, so we cannot clearly reply to you and don't want to reply wrong things. So.
Sorry, next question was, could you provide indication about the funding range / amount to be considered by the consortium?
Yes, so the total amount of funding will, of course, depend on the number of partners as well, because each funding organization gives a limit of funding for the partners, and the total should be between 1 million to 2 million according to the size of your consortium. It's really important that the ask funding is aligned on the task that you should do, that you don't ask 300,000 euros because the limit of your funding organization is 300,000.
And then Susanna is asking, does RNA-based antisense oligonucleotides to be delivered by peptides carrier to combat bacterial infection will be eligible?
So here I can say that infectious disease will be eligible for this call. After, for the technology or your approach, I cannot say more. This will depend on the evaluators.
And then Vama is asking, we have seen at the beginning that nutritional project may also be submitted. What are the requirements, guidelines for such projects?
So I think you mean maybe the NutriBrain call, which is a completely different call that NANOTECMEC, and you can find additional information of ERA4Health webpage.
Yes, Merrick added the link to the NutriBrain webpage on the chat. And oh, we meant nanofood.
Yes, metabolic disease are also in the scope of the call. So if it's linked to nano, it's eligible.
And this is the last question at the moment.
Thank you, Anaïs. Is there any questions? Yes, Alexandre, you have still some in your list?
Yes, but these are questions maybe you can't answer, but I'll try my best luck. No, maybe for people that are still attending, would you have any big advice on what is, let's say, key criteria for success and also key criteria for failure? Like, what do you want to avoid in this call? What things that is a clear chance, except from eligibility criteria indeed? What would you like to push for quality proposals or bad proposals?
I think for us it's really important that the submitted projects are projects which are not be able to be performed at the national level only, that the transnational dimensions is really important in the project.
Okay, thank you. And am I allowed to share the QR code for the matchmaking so that people that can snap it quickly? Can I share the picture of the matchmaking?
Yes, please. I'm sorry, I was not sure it was a question.
No problem.
I think I should give you the right to present.
Well, unfortunately, on WebEx, I need to restart to do that. So please, you have the links on the chat. You just need to register for free. Would it be for the event and then to complete the online form? Strongly advise you to come. You will see it will be a fun event to build up stronger proposals.
I will. I can put back the slide as well from Merrick.
Yeah, I can do it if you want.
Thank you. Okay, so no additional question for the moment.
We got a last question from Anna. Is it compulsory to have a clinical partner or just its participation as an advisor or moderator?
So is in any consortium from the NANOTECMEC proposal, you should have at least 2 partners among these 3 categories, so academic, industry, and clinician. So if you have already academic and industry in your consortium, you do not need clinical partner. However, don't forget about the bedside approach is really important, that all stakeholders for succeed of your solutions are already present as in your consortium. The presentation and the PowerPoint slide will be available in ERA for Health communications tools, so the website, and we will see if we are going to put in social media or not, but it will be available. When it will be published, we will send an email to all the participants. Like this, you can access to it. Okay, so thank you very much for your participation and our apology as well for the technical problems. I hope that you could make most of our presentations. And then we give you, maybe for some of you, an appointment to the ATP and ERA for Health matchmaking event. And thank you so much for the speaker. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Non. Je peux peut-être copier-coller le slide. Tu l'as fait? Moi, je fais un backup alors, parce que je l'ai déjà. Super idée, Anaïs.
Il y a quelqu'un qui m'a demandé.
Ah.
Il y a quelqu'un qui m'a dit, est-ce que je pourrais avoir, il y aura des questions? Je me suis dit, bon, allez, je sais pas comment faire, je vais juste faire un copier-coller.